latest recruit to the ranks of working mainline approved steam locomotives is 6201 Princess Elizabeth. The second-built Stanier Pacific returned to the main line after a prolonged overhaul at Hereford in late 1986. Her first train was from Stockport to Carnforth via Leeds in December, and her second, on the 7th of February 1987, was from Leeds to Appleby on the first of the season's Pennine Limiteds. Here we see her at the end of the long drag, passing Bleemoor Box with Ethel 2 in tow, this being the first use of this X-Class 25 on a northern steam train. The first snows of 1987 hit the southeast of England particularly severely, with the lowest temperatures for 40 years recorded in places. The Sheerness branch was dug out by the army on the day previous to this scene, and the Southern was obliged to use diesels and electro-diesels to keep operating any services at all. A number of rail freight Class 56s were purloined to haul EMUs in North Kent. National news bulletins showed the Kent motorways completely snarled up, with Maidstone virtually a no-go area. BR services to the town operated on a shuttle basis from London, with Class 33s and 73s assisting EMUs. The main line from Maidstone to Ashford was completely blocked, a Class 33 with snowplows either end becoming maroon near Lenham. So severe were the problems that BR brought the country's only snowblower down from Inverness to help alleviate the problem. With a maximum speed of only 40 miles per hour in a train, the self-propelled unit took 24 hours to reach the southeast, and is seen arriving at Maidstone from Ashford, where the body was revolved on its chassis to return towards the marooned engine. 33061 was firmly stuck on the down line, with a full-size snowplough at either end. The up line had been cleared by the blower on its way from Ashford, but the line remained closed. The blower, manned by a Scottish crew, was featured on the BBC News that evening. Help arrived from either end. 47161 appeared from Ashford around lunchtime. First attempts to pull the plough free were in vain, and further digging was necessary. From the Maidstone end, the snowblower emerged with backup Class 33s behind it. The 33061 appeared none the worse for wear and seemed to be overheating rather than being frozen. Eventually the first plough was freed, and as darkness fell, the locomotive moved to be reattached to the plough and towed off to Ashford by the 47.
So far, so good. Where's the engine?
They're coming back with a big one.
The humble diesel shunter has in recent times become the target for the brighter image merchants on BR. As these locomotives are restricted in their areas of operation, They can be the objects of depot pride. Ivor, the departmental locomotive at Slade Green Depot in South London, is the first example in network livery. Stratford has continued the tradition of painting the Liverpool Street Station pilot in Great Eastern blue. The 08 follows N7 and J69 tanks of the early 1960s in this livery. Marylebon's pilot is also in the public eye, as steam workings for the terminus are a prestige operation. The shunter is now in BR green. Tyseley has repainted 208s for use as station pilots at Birmingham New Street. Each normally spends 1 week on the pilot roster, and Green 604 is seen at the downstabling point at the station. Unique among the colourful 08s is 601, Tyseley's LMS black shunter. It's unlikely that any further special repaints will be undertaken at the depot in the near future. In Scotland, Motherwell Depot's pilot sports a variation on the rail freight livery, including an oversized depot emblem. In the other British Principality, Swansea's 08s have colourful names and number plates. 3 of the class were specially cut down for use on the Cummoor Colliery branch to replace 03s, which had previously been modified to the low loading gauge of the line. At Birkenhead, the depot has repainted one of its 03 shunters in BR green, with its original BR number. It doesn't appear to have its tops number. Currently under consideration is a plan to convert a number of 08s to 09s by the simple expedient of changing the gear ratios. At present, the only 09s are the Southern Small Fleet, one of which has been repainted at Slade Green, although not used at the depot. This edition's cab ride is different, as it's a freight working, a coal train from Bentinck Colliery on the Nottingham coalfield to Ratcliffe Power Station, south of Nottingham. The LMR Public Affairs Department arranged our journey, with the cooperation of British Coal and the CEGB. Appropriate motive power was provided. Bentinck is one of a number of collieries supplying Ratcliffe and has an average of 5 trains a day. The colliery is situated on a single-line branch of the main freight line to Shirebrook, serving a large part of the Nottingham coalfield.
Jim, some say, always tell the truth, don't they?
Yes. Is that double track over there?
Yeah, that
Yes.
That's effectively the main line to the collieries then, is it?
That's
Yeah.
right.
Through to Shirebrook.
So
Okay,
to
the
the
summit.
North Nottingham to go.
Sherwood.
Get anywhere up there. The signalman not pull off till the last minute because of stopping the roadway.
As we approached the main freight line, we slowed to allow our shunter off the locomotive. Around 20 trains a day each way run over these lines, which still sport traditional Midland signal boxes and signalling. In the heyday of railways, the area was also served by the Great Central, whose main line ran to the east of Bentinck, and the Great Northern branch to Pinxton. The number of collieries has greatly reduced, due both to being worked out and to efficiency. One colliery now serves many coal faces.
He'll have to go, see.
Yes.
There's another signal, the one after that will be the main
Slides,
signal.
this is. Slides there, the barriers, crossing.
Oh, it's just a crossing box, is it, rather than
No.
Pan round up to it when it goes.
It's not a block
I'm
post.
going for them because I'm in Oller here. Because
we're
you'll
passing it
probably get a minus.
It's another named one.
You'll probably get a minus snatch.
Is it going up Bentinck again?
Oh, it's Doncaster Works.
Yep.
He's going up where
He's
we
going
come
Bentinck
out of.
come out of.
Yes.
When he going back.
Oh, and that's the merry-go-round. Get the full weight behind you then.
Yes. Now, if they drop off me a little bit here, might get a minus snatch.
At Pye Bridge, we join the main Erewash Valley lines from Sheffield and Clay Cross to the south.
We're going goods line, 45 mile an hour.
We we get out onto main lines?
You can do.
We're on the goods line, but we're not going main line.
15 out main line and 45 goods line. Goods line. What we're approaching now on the left-hand side is Riddings, the old colliery that's just closed.
The last one to close, Pio Colliery, actually.
Pio
recently.
Colliery.
Last year.
Where does that... That's just a loop, isn't it?
That's right, yes.
That's just the back end of the
On the
loop.
box outside, it says.
But there's no connection from it here. We
No,
can't go on
not
it.
off the goods.
No. You're back in at the bottom end.
Yeah.
Oh. This is
Oh, we've got some
classic
other-
Midland
Exactly.
type of crossing, isn't it?
Yeah, from the far.
To have a
Oh, we've got a
single
rabbit
slip
here
of-
yesterday, Wednesday morning.
Oh yes.
They love backing trains in instead of drawing them in. Railway through there.
Really?
Down to the mill at the bottom.
You had.
Oh, this is
there's no sign of it whatsoever.
This
now,
is your
is there?
stockings and tights factory here, Kaiser.
Oh,
Sharnos.
it's Kaiser, is it?
Sharnos, yep. There were girls here earning £100 a week when driving.
Langley
were
Mill
getting set.
recently lost its branch to the east as traffic had ceased. By contrast, a new station was recently opened on the fast lines.
Well known, was it?
Oh yes.
Speed limits on the fast lines were up to 80 miles an hour, but the goods lines have a maximum of 45, frequently reduced to 20 or less due to colliery subsidence.
Oh, I see.
Because it was made properly.
It's
and
a
it was
new-
laid on a level gradient.
When was it built?
Beverley Open Cast Disposal Point was completed only 2 years or so ago. It doesn't have a pit head, but is a concentration depot, and 2 of its trains each day go to Ratcliffe. The viaduct just beyond the installation once carried the Great Northern branch to Derby Friarsgate.
It's only capable of about 1,000 every 4 hours.
Oh, it never really built it up.
Look at the size of it. So instead of having a train out of there about every 4 hours, Spencer and all that,
Oh, fashion flow.
not fashion flow, that's there.
Ah.
This is a factory where they made tights and ladies' underwear.
The direct passenger route from Nottingham to Trowell Junction is due to be closed soon, with all traffic routed through Towton.
It's 10 over the junction, is it?
That's 10
10
all the
mile
way
an
down
hour.
here.
How's it?
Round the corner, but it's a 10 mile an hour.
And that's where we're going eventually. That's the first side of the power station, look.
Oh, where the
Chimney is there, yeah.
have you ever been on the top of one of these?
Most of it. This is the Harwich boat train. Barrow.
47584.
That was Barrow.
Hey, Don, have you seen the name for the new version?
No, that was the old. That was the AWS.
Yes, I mean, they used to have
Oh, yeah.
all other engines.
Oh, you
got a
went
horn,
going by.
an electronic beat instead.
And he had a bell.
I must remember that.
Yeah. Yeah. The other end.
Yes, I've heard the beep, 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 or
Yeah,
whatever
but
it is.
that's
It's in
the bell you want.
VHSTs.
Another bell when it goes bong. Yeah, look at it.
Oh, I ain't got a warmed up yet.
We'll sit there in a minute.
Towton remains the principal freight concentration yard in the Nottingham area.
They're ticking over.
The freight yards are to the east of the main line, and the locomotive depot is to the west.
Yeah, once you get them warmed, I
Well,
mean,
it's
there's
any
hardly
motor,
any...
isn't it?
Is there a turntable now all in Towton now?
No.
But you can turn, can't you, by going...
Beeston.
Yeah.
Beeston.
Beeston, then to Trent, and then back to Dover.
Bit of a pull
Oh,
on.
it's a-
You've got a triangle.
22, which was used to be 60 Lytham St Andrews.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Now we're going down number 2
Salford and
reception.
San Diego, yeah. And the A52. A52 and the junction with the M1
Oh,
at
yes.
the top. 3-tier
I
road.
drove up there last night.
Did you?
Yes.
So you ride away off so and so. You know how everyone's getting idle, and
Yes, it's very true.
this is how it
See, get
is.
your snap.
That's it. You can get your bread now.
Get your snap.
That's it.
Yard control is by means of a PA system instead of conventional signalling, and all traffic heading south is now routed over the former marshalling yard hump, which is adjacent to the yard offices.
Away we go. Away we go again over the hill. Down through the Sardines Road.
Yes, it's an unusual way through, isn't it?
It is. Well, they asked us to do that, see, because the right of way is off to the right hand side down. Much against our will, because it closed the west yard under all the wagon loads, see, in 1984.
The former hump yard retarders can be seen as we go down the hump heading south.
Here, in that young girl.
That's it, mate.
I mean, I don't know who he is.
You see, that's a proper way.
45.
Can you see the two lines
Yes.
there?
Well, how many of them are there?
Yeah.
Right, look.
It's
Down,
about
down to
25
that
or
sub
so.
there. Down to that sub there, see?
Yes.
This with the old brake slip.
yes.
Road where the two shunters are and
Yes.
different rubbish.
Are they dead, those locos, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They keep
Yeah.
coming in off different trains.
Got the side rods off, look, the tickets.
Oh, yes, are they?
You bet all your sort of dead ones are gone as well now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, they're all 25s and
They're all 45s over there,
45s.
bar one, that's a 46.
Oh, there's still a 46 there, is there?
Well, it's not got 46. It's got a standby engine for
Oh,
the
that
nuclear
the
blast
CGB.
disaster.
Yes. That's still here. Just sitting around.
Yeah, that's still here. So,
Do you ever see the CGB film of that?
yes.
Very good, I thought.
I've seen an album of the photographs. Big
Oh,
ones
yes.
like that. They was only given Derby. So it was good we had to back off then.
Oh, I must him.
No, he almost in, you know, we had to back off. He said, well, yeah, we better not. And when we were training him, that's when that took place. And his dad brought him this,
that's where you can go
bought
on
this album and showed us.
the bottom.
Yes.
What will you say on the
I can
bottom?
imagine.
Long Eaton Town, see?
Big ones, that big.
That's where you
Well,
go
I'll
out
take
there
note.
to Trent.
And it's
Diverted
see.
the passage is from off the trail.
The junction to the Nottingham lines, which will replace Trowell, is seen to our left.
30 mile an hour. Then you reach
This has to be brought up to passenger line status before Trowell can be closed.
down the bottom. You'll see it, it goes underneath it.
Over back of that hill there, that's Goldham. And you always leave it like that so the kids can
There's
put on the
Trent
line.
Power Box,
Ah,
look.
yes, and put the fuel
There's
on
Trent
front of
Power
the train
Box,
at night.
beyond the cottages.
There's one crossing, look.
Oh yes, I see.
Now that's on the main line to
That's on the
Nottingham.
Yes.
Nottingham.
And we crossed that, do we?
There's another crossing there.
Yes.
Yeah, we went over it here.
Yes.
There it is, look. Hey, that's Trent.
Andy. Oh, Andy.
As we get our first real view of our destination, we cross the direct main lines through Nottingham.
We're going over the line. What's the point down here?
They are, look, the train.
Lines to all points of the compass met at Trent Junction, which was situated on our right.
I remember seeing Garrett's going there. That's right, yeah.
This had no ordinary road access and was extremely complicated.
Trent Junction.
Both passenger and goods lines ran east to west and south to north. And in Midland Railway days, there were constant double-headed coal trains heading for all parts, especially down the main line to London.
No train for Glasgow. Train from Glasgow.
Yeah, that's right. And all go the same way. Yeah. Yeah, that used to throw people, that did, you know.
Come out of Rackham, probably.
Yeah, there's a Ratcliffe man coming out. Should be empty. He's come out as well.
038.
That's Johnny Gallagher. Here's Trent Powerball.
Trent Power Box there, look.
Oh yes.
And you'll see.
Oh, I see. The idea is to
they could
Divert.
run
to divert. Yes.
yeah,
That's
they could run a service from Attenborough to
Yeah, but you see,
head out of the
if
bin
you
of
get word-
customers.
Yes.
Yes, that's the River Soar, and that's the River Trent.
Oh, it's
Both
the
come in.
there's a conference.
There's 3 rivers.
Convergence.
and
The
there's
Derwent
3
joins it up
canals.
there.
To what?
The Derwent joins the Trent just up
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
And then that's the saw coming round the corner.
That's it.
And that joins the Trent as well.
And there's 3 canals.
What's this one
This
here?
is the
We're going
You had the
That's part of the power
4F
station.
down from
That's where they put
Burnley,
all of the
didn't
They're
water.
doing it again this year, apparently.
Just here, you'll
Oh
see
really?
it.
With the
There.
4F again?
Oh, that's the
Or-
Trent.
Yeah, that's all
Yes.
the water purifying and
Isn't
everything.
this beautiful?
That's where they pump the water in for the power station there. look,
That's
see?
the power station, is it?
Yeah, they're the big pumps, massive pumps.
Now look at this photograph of the
this.
radio
Oh, it's
tunnel.
beautiful, isn't it? Yes.
But the sun's not shining
Well,
on
in
it.
1898, no?
It's only it didn't get 18
Yeah.
something. It's empty, it says.
Yeah.
After crossing the River Trent, we pass through the only tunnel on our route before bearing left into Ratcliffe Power Station.
Been on, they've had something go wrong.
Trains work through the power station on a continuous balloon loop. 2 reception roads are subdivided into 2, so that trains can be stored, ready for unloading. Slow-speed control is used through the unloading bays, trains running at half a mile an hour without stopping. The power station is rated at 4,000 megawatts and consumes 20,000 tons of pulverized coal a day, 7 days a week. Bentinck and Cotgrave collieries each provide 30 to 35,000 tons a week, whilst the remainder comes from the Shirebrook area, Calverton, Sherwood, Beverley and Sutton. Maximum train loads are 42 wagons, and type HAA wagons are used, which carry a 32.5-ton payload.
Don't they know them?
BR has a fleet of approximately 11,000 HAA wagons and runs about 300 coal trains a day, carrying over 50 million tons a year to power stations. Each day, fly ash trains leave at about 11 o'clock and can be seen to the right, working on an independent loop.
Is Shirebrook a total outpost, or are you a separate?
No, it's a separate one, but it's going to come under tow.
Our modern archive feature is closely related to our cab ride, as the area covered is the last part of the Leicester Gap, south of Nottingham. The gap refers to the fact that the section of the Midland main line between Siston Junction in the north and Shirebrook in the south has retained semaphore signalling and steam-age track layouts long after these have gone elsewhere. The first part of the gap to be filled was at Leicester itself, but at Siston the signal boxes remain for a little longer. In this view, we look north along the main line to Nottingham and Derby, with the route to the east via Melton Mowbray to the right of the picture. The main line is double track south of Leicester, and the Melton route via Corby is used as the freight lines, leaving the main lines clear for HSTs. Cross-country trains from Peterborough and East Anglia join the main line here and run south to Leicester before going west to Birmingham. West of Siston was Brooksby, the old building still surviving. These 20s are travelling eastwards. Just before Melton Mowbray, the former Midland direct route to Nottingham now forms the BR Research Department's test track. Besides pork pies, Melton Mowbray also produces pet food, and the special wagons for this trade are seen stabled alongside the main line. At Manton Junction, where the station is now closed, the freight-only lines diverge to the south, whilst the main line to the east goes through Rutland towards Peterborough. Main passenger traffic consists of sprinters or Class 31s and hauled stock. Luffinham was once the junction for the LNWR line through Seaton to Market Harborough and Northampton. A cement works at Ketton provides BR with traffic. These 20s brought in a few wagons from the east, and they were then taken up the delightfully rural branch by the cement company's industrial diesel. Stamford Midland is now the only station remaining open in the town. The town used to boast a second station, which was the terminus of a Great Northern branch from Essendine on the East Coast Main Line. On the south side of Leicester, semaphores remain at Kettering and Wellingborough. A mixed DMU heads south on the freight lines. At Wellingborough, much remains. The goods yards still appear busy, but are partly closed. The former steam shed survives, but is no longer used. Signals and signal boxes remain, however, but this will soon change, and the Leicester Gap will be no more. Following the success of Marylebone to Stratford Sunday luncheon trains, with locomotives based at the London terminus, BR decided to run Christmas specials from the station to High Wycombe in December 1986. Such was the demand for these trains that a further weekend was allocated on the 3rd and 4th of January 1987. The following sequences were filmed that weekend. Two trains each way were run each day, using two locomotives. Flying Scotsman was used to haul the train southbound and Sir Lemuel northbound. First off the shed was the southern engine, and we are for once going to run long sequences as she's prepared in the brilliant low winter sunshine, as the cold weather made for some beautifully atmospheric steam effects. Sun, smoke and steam were all combined for once as the King Arthur took her train out from the platform. At Sear Green, between Gerrards Cross and Beaconsfield, 777 was subject to a slight restriction as she climbed to the Chilterns. Denham Golf Club, 4472, followed light engine towards High Wycombe. At Wycombe, the A3 prepared to take the train out of the down platform to cross to its awaiting passengers. The success of these workings and their repetition next year seems assured. From Neasden Junction, the Great Central Line follows the LT's Metropolitan lines, but without stations. Flying Scotsman brings back memories of the Master Cutler as she returns to London up the gradient to Willesden Green past Dollis Hill. Sir Lemuel follows the Gresley Pacific light engine at Neasden South Junction, where the Great Central's two mainline routes diverge, and brings our feature to an end. In September 1986, the LCGB organised a trip to Portugal to travel on some of the remaining steamwork branches in that country. Bob Doherty was on that trip and brought back these shots of the tour. These were shot on Super 8 film. This meter gauge line was the first to be visited, and this splendid 0440 mallet tank was used as motive power throughout. The line runs to Tamiga and is normally dieselized. The workings were organized locally, and most passengers were local, with the LCGB group the only foreign organized party. The locomotive number E162 was built in Germany in 1910, and this was its last working. It was retired that evening at the end of the tour, and after its fire was dropped, it was abandoned where it stood. The second line visited was the Tour line. In this instance, the locomotive had not been used since 1978, but appeared to be perfectly sound. It's unlikely to be used again, however. The locomotive was number E114, the 260 tank, also German-built around the turn of the century. The Tour line passes through the spectacular Tour Gorge. Both lines are situated north of Lisbon and pass through some quite beautiful scenery. Broad gauge workings will feature in the next rail scene. In Railscene 2, we showed the rebuilt Bullet Pacific Blue Star being rescued from Barry for use on the proposed railway based at North Woolwich in East London. 2 years on, considerable progress has been made, with the locomotive securely housed in a warehouse. Such conditions will enable work to be carried on at any time, and the workshop will be the envy of many other groups. The next phase involves a boiler lift, which will take place sometime this year. A very active group provides many more volunteers than is usual, and we expect to have much more progress to report in 2 years' time. One day, steam will be made again in this boiler, and Blue Star will emulate her sister, Clan Line. Blue Star's immediate predecessor, Shaw Savile, number 35009, remains at Barry, in apparently poor condition. However, together with 34073, 249 Squadron, she's being dismantled prior to transportation to Brighton for full restoration. The only other bullets remaining at Barry are also destined for Brighton, and all 4 have been sold. After over 20 years in the salty atmosphere of Barry, only 29 hulks remained in February 1987. 11 of these were sold, the others all being reserved. Various liveries could still be seen, even a rare early right-hand facing New British Railways totem. Some showed two at once. A major problem facing would-be preservers of the remaining locomotives is the lack of tenders. Strange pairings appear, and this 8F is due to be paired with the only remaining Fowler design of tender. Great Western tanks of various kinds remain. This one is due to go to the Wales Railway Centre. A 56XX still appears to be shunting wagons, having spent its working days in South Wales. One 9F remains, Sam pony truck. This 92245 was one of the Somerset and Dorset machines. The last remaining standard mogul will go to Chris Hinton and will escape the fate of the one locomotive Woodham's cut up, a 9F. Enthusiasts everywhere have a great deal to thank Di Woodham for, as their beloved steam engines have avoided the cutting torch, unlike these wagons. We join them all in congratulating him on his MBE in the New Year's Honours List. Our final look at the Severn Valley begins overlooking the Severn Valley itself. From Arley to Hampton Load, the line follows the river closely, and we see a double-headed train running above the river valley as it approaches Arley. Next station along from Arley is Highley. Although a minor station with only one platform, it's always busy. And during enthusiast weekends, it's the terminus for various local workings to Arley or Bewdley. Here, the visiting LNWR coal tank brings a 3-coach local into the platform with a Bewdley train. Severn Valley has a great variety of motive power, but specializes in the larger locomotives, which are needed to cope with the normal 8-car train sets. 2 halls are resident, both passed for BR mainline running, 6960 being an example of the post-war modified halls. Between Arley and Hampton Load is the site of the former Alverley colliery. Where nature now rules, once stood coal wagons and the area was fully industrialized. 2 Jubilees ran on the valley in late 1986, and the visitor Collapur passes the site on a northbound train. From the foot crossing, we view the railway's second hall, 4930 Hagley Hall. The locomotive is the railway's flagship, as it's named after a local stately home. There's a plan to landscape the former colliery site and to provide a country park with all amenities. This will no doubt bring traffic to the railway again from this area. At Hampton Load, the original terminus for preserved railway operations, we see the home-based Jubilee approach from the south. All trains normally stop at all stations, but on enthusiast days, expresses are run. Taking the token for the section to Arley, the driver of 2857, the Churchward goods engine, opens her up gently for the non-stop run through the loop. Between Hampton Load and Bridge North, the railway leaves the river valley. After Erdington Halt is the steepest gradient on the line, Erdington Bank. But this is no problem for the larger locomotives, which have got a run at it through the halt. The northern terminus of the Severn Valley Railway is at Bridge North. This is a two-platform station, which was originally a through station. The line beyond was severed by BR and used to tunnel under the town to follow the River Severn to Iron Bridge and ultimately Shrewsbury. The company's principal locomotive depot is in the former coal yard, and this is also the engineering department's headquarters. Recent objections by residents of newly developed housing near the railway have led to restrictions on working hours for boiler work, and the railway hopes to provide a purpose-built boiler shop here. Donations to assist should be sent to the railway. The company has had to overcome many obstacles, notably the Bridge North bypass, which threatened to cut the terminus off from the railway. Now completed, the trains triumphantly run over the new bridge, and the railway continues to be able to proclaim itself as the country's leading preserved railway. We continue our look at BR operations in the 1950s through the lens of Cam Campbell with a visit to the Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway in 1958. Cam commenced at the western end on Midland Metals, where the MGN left the Midland line from Melton Mowbray at Saxby. The MGN proper started at Little Bytham, just after passing over the Great Northern's East Coast Main Line. Travelling eastwards through Lincolnshire, the line passed through Bourne and Spalding, Kings Lynn and Fakenham, to its headquarters at Melton Constable. From Melton Constable, 3 routes took the MGN to Cromer, Yarmouth and Norwich. The line had a special appeal to enthusiasts, featuring a variety of BR, LMS and LNER motive power. Great Northern somersault signals featured prominently. The line crossed the flat fen country and was therefore easily graded in East Anglia. It was destined for early closure under the severe BR economies of the late 50s and early 60s, and little now remains, apart from the section at Sheringham, preserved as the North Norfolk Railway. By 1958, colour film was becoming available more freely, and Cam was able to obtain limited supplies. Our first extract of Cam's colour footage is based in West Wales, visited in summer 1958. visit to the Settle and Carlisle at Horton in Ribblesdale featured a station in its full glory. Although now reopened, the station will never again see black 5s, 9Fs and crabs on freights and local trains. Across country from the S&C ran the northeastern branch from Kendal via Kirby Stephen to Darlington. The line was an early candidate for diesel multiple units, or rail cars as they were then known. The line was subject to severe restrictions on the motive power used, the maximum being BR standard Class 4 moguls. The small class of Class 3 moguls were based at Darlington for use on the line, and they performed with the Class 2s on the many mineral trains which passed over the route. In 1958, the preserved Midland compound was in use on special trains, and the SLS organised a trip via York. Although number 1000 remains with us today, the other sites are pure nostalgia. Reverting to monochrome, Cam visited the southwest corner of Devon, where he visited Lara Sheds. Just to the east of the sheds, the Dartmoor tramway crossed the GW main line. This line was used to transport granite from the moor to Plymouth docks. The gauge was 4 feet, and the track was planked, as horses remained the line's motive power to the end. Sadly, by 1958, the line had closed. One of the greatest ever achievements in preservation was accomplished in 1986. A dedicated team of individuals brought BR Standard Pacific number 71,000 Duke of Gloucester back to full operating order as the culmination of what was described as Mission Impossible. The Duke is now based on the Great Central Railway, where we see her on one of the 2 public working weekends in 1986. It's hoped that she'll appear on BR main lines in 1987. We applaud the team and thank them for their achievement. At the other end of the scale, the Kent and East Sussex Railway brought into service one of the smallest ex-BR locomotives, an SECR P-class. The locomotive was used on Santa Specials and was painted in early BR livery for these trains. The neighbouring Bluebell Railway received an award from Ian Allen as the best independent railway of 1986. And what better excuse do we need to show these shots of the railway in December? The Keighley and Worth Valley Railway has been offered this ex-Lancashire and Yorkshire 060, which currently resides in the museum at Oxenholme. It's a condition that the engine is restored to the full L&Y livery, and she may well eventually look like this, a sister locomotive at Carnforth. Carnforth was the destination of Princess Elizabeth's first mainline run, and we see her here, preparing to leave with Ethel II prior to her run on the Pennine Limited, seen in our opening sequence. After the climb to Blee Moor, the Stanier Pacific ran non-stop along the S&C to Appleby. Another Pacific to travel north was Mallard, returning to York after her successful sojourn at Marylebone. Here she climbs Saunderton Bank out of Wickham. The Southern Pacific representative Clan Line is also seen slightly further up on Saunderton with a Master Cutler special to Stratford. At the other end of the British Isles, the Scottish Railway Preservation Society ran their traditional programme of Santa specials with Maud around the Edinburgh Sum. Before the public runs, special runs were made for children from Dr. Bernardo's, sponsored by the SRPS and BR. Also going north, Colliper ran from Saltley with a northbound train to York. With Colliper and Mallard running to York and Princess Elizabeth due to go to the museum in April, York is obviously the place to be. Now exiled to York, City of Truro was in use at Christmas both for BR and SLOA Santa specials to Scarborough. This was Slower's last train, that is, Slower Marketing's last train, and sadly it ran a little late. However, this gave us the opportunity for an appropriate last shot. On the BR front, electrics are in the news. In the north, the bad weather was no help when the wires came down on Shap. Although certain night trains ran via the S&C, most trains were diesel-hauled, usually 47s, with the electric locomotives coupled inside. After 3.5 years, the Class 89 is out at last. This one-off prototype, looking like an HST which doesn't know which way to go, is at last undergoing trials on the West Coast Main Line. Tests are being conducted between Crewe and Winsford, coupled to an old-fashioned electric. One old-fashioned electric to catch the imagination is 86401, liveried in MSE colours. It appears to spend its entire life on these Glasgow, Moss End Yard to Warrington steel coil trains, although supposedly liveried for southeast duties. "86401 was due to have initiated the Cambridge Electrics. The bad weather meant this was cancelled. Electric locomotive-hauled trains are not due to start until the May 1987 timetable, but 86s appear at Cambridge on driver familiarisation trials at present. On the diesel front, BR has taken delivery of new variants in the DMU replacement program. This Class 144 was on trials on the Midland Main Line, a regular turn for pacer variants. Mark II sprinters are now being released. These have corridor connections at the ends, making them look the same as current EMU stock. Old DEMUs still survive, 2 Hastings units having escaped the Holocaust. 1 4-car unit regularly runs on the Ashford to Hastings line, so Hastings has not yet lost their distinctive sound. The remaining 6-car Hastings unit was used for a tour around London at Christmas and no doubt will be popular during 1987. Both units have received new 6-digit numbers. Class 37s, being so common and unthreatened, do not appear regularly in our programs. However, 2 new variants are interesting, as they are re-engined versions of the familiar English electric units. Finally, we see 37902, second example of the other re-engined 37s, with Merlese engines, working a regular turn for these machines in South Wales.